Good evening. Our COVID outbreak is tonight at crisis point. 44 new cases of the Delta strain and a major warning from the Premier. Lockdown might not end next Friday. 5 million people across Greater Sydney and beyond are now under even tougher restrictions to avert what authorities fear, an explosion in cases across the suburbs.
Police patrolling the streets of Fairfield as the Premier led a solemn march. On the day the lockdown was scheduled to end, 44 new cases.
New South Wales is facing the biggest challenge we have faced since the pandemic started. This is the opposite of where we need or want the numbers to trend.
The highest daily caseload of the outbreak and a warning it will get worse before it gets better.
When overnight you see a number like 29 who've been infectious for all of the time in the community or part of the time in the community, it tells us that in the next few days, those numbers are going to go up.
Tonight across Sydney, the Blue Mountains, Central Coast, Wollongong and Shell Harbour, outdoor gatherings are limited to 2 people, not including those you live with. 1 person per household per day is permitted to leave for shopping, and all exercise must be in your local government area.
I appreciate the message I'm delivering today is quite shocking for a lot of people, but I need everybody to be shocked.
This is incredibly challenging times, and I just want to stress that I am incredibly concerned.
Do not leave your home unless you absolutely have to. That is what a lockdown is.
Partners and carers are allowed. From Sunday, funerals will be limited to 10.
There's a lot of funerals that will take place tomorrow. There's a lot of families that are still in limbo. We've had to cancel funerals. We've got funerals on hold. So devastating and so stressful for the families that are already grieving.
I apologise in advance to all those families going through such a difficult time. But unfortunately, we have no option. We have to take this action.
14,000 people now close contacts in isolation. That's doubled overnight. And new exposure sites include Tempe IKEA and Waratah Private Hospital in Hurstville. The Chief Health Officer concerned that new hotspots are emerging.
Sutherland, Kareela, Sylvania, Hurstville and Maroubra.
And further southwest in Glenfield, Narellan Vale and Casula.
Right now here in Greater Sydney as Health Minister, I am both alert and alarmed.
Hospitals are on standby with more COVID patients in intensive care and on ventilators than any time this year. 439 locally acquired cases linked to the outbreak. 43 people are in hospital. That's 10%. 10 of those are in ICU. Worryingly, that includes 1 patient aged in their 20s, and tonight they're on a ventilator.
If we chose to live with this while the rates of vaccination is at 9%, we will see thousands and thousands of hospitalisations and death.
That means elimination of the virus will trump suppression. As other states open up, streets and testing lines were empty across the city.
I know it's tiring, I know it's exasperating, I know it's frustrating, but we need to keep pushing through.
Tonight, New South Wales is the only state with a lockdown, and the Premier is preparing to extend it for a second time.
And unless there is a dramatic change, unless there's a dramatic turnaround in the numbers, I can't see how we'd be in a position to ease restrictions by next Friday.
Our long lockdown winter set to continue. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Well, dozens of police have found out across southwest Sydney in a major operation to enforce the stay-at-home order. Communities say they've been unfairly targeted, and today officers found them largely compliant.
Police promised they would be visible. Now they're impossible to miss.
30 cars. 30 cars. 30 cars.
This street in Chester Hill almost had a police car stationed outside every house, a staging point for the stay-at-home blitz.
They're really patrolling the area, all right.
With almost half of the new cases in the southwest, the government says they need to police the rules or more people will catch the virus.
Nobody's suggesting that the people of southwestern Sydney aren't hard working. What we're suggesting is that there's been low levels of compliance.
So in turn, 100 police from all over Sydney were dropped into Cabramatta, Liverpool, Fairfield.
It's dead. It's ghost town.
At the top of the list, trying to stop people visiting each other's homes.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a joke.
People are scared.
But the operation has drawn accusations that police are unfairly targeting certain ethnic groups.
You can't escape the perception, and that is that we are being singled out. Where's the police in Waverley? It doesn't pass the pub test.
A delicate balance to fight the virus, not the people.
Similar decision was made where we pushed police into Bondi recently around the beach area. A similar decision was made not that long ago in the northern beaches when that area was locked down.
But parts of the community are clearly on edge. This in Roselands. But minus a few police, all of the main shopping strips were dead quiet.
Shops closing all around, so we don't know how long we're going to be open for.
The usually vibrant streets of Cabramatta just dull. And at the food markets, it was a few groceries before heading off.
Basically, I just do my stuff and go back home.
What's scaring our doctors is testing numbers are low in the suburbs of concern. It picked up at the Fairfield Showgrounds today, but New South Wales Health is convinced there are a lot of people with the virus they don't know about. More than 2/3 of people over the age of 70 in New South Wales have had their first dose of vaccine, but in that same age group it drops to just 50% in Canterbury, Bankstown, Liverpool and Fairfield. And even with 300,000 additional vaccines on the way to GPs and clinics in the southwest, in the next few weeks, jabs alone won't win this battle. Chris O'Keefe, 9 News.
Let's go to James Wilson in Fairfield. James, police are wrapping up operations for the day, but how did the community respond?
Well, Mark, businesses have been quite receptive to this operation today. We saw police out enforcing these new measures, and it does seem like the message is getting through. There were 87 businesses that were inspected. 51 warnings were issued, a further 8 penalty infringement notices also handed down. Mark, the majority of those were for people failing to wear masks, but thankfully there were no arrests. Now, police are wrapping up their operation for today, but they aren't getting complacent, Mark. They'll be back here tomorrow to do it all over again.
OK, James, thank you. Well, Sydney South has emerged as a major area of concern. Tiffany Genders is there. Tiff, there's been a case at Sutherland Hospital.
Mark, the biggest public hospital in the Sutherland Shire has been exposed to COVID. We understand that a woman turned up to the emergency department with symptoms on Wednesday. It was initially feared she had meningitis, but tests soon revealed she was COVID positive. Now, all hospital staff and patients who came into close contact with this woman have been isolated. The emergency department has undergone a deep clean, and New South Wales Health wants people to know that it is safe to come here. There is a race to get on top of COVID in Sydney South after the suburbs of Hurstville, Sylvania and Kareela emerged as new areas of concern. That message does appear to be trickling through though, because we have seen good numbers at the testing clinics. And if you couldn't get there today, there is good news. There is a Carlton drive-through clinic and a site at St George Hospital that are open until 8 o'clock tonight.
OK, Tiff, thank you. Some of the toughest restrictions our city has seen in a long time are now in force. Lizzie Pearl has the breakdown.
Mark, for Greater Sydney, the Central Coast, the Blue Mountains, Wollongong and Shell Harbour. First, there are limits on how far you can travel from your home for exercise. You must either stick within your local government area or not go any further than a 10-kilometre radius from where you live. And even then, a walk or a workout can only be with one other person unless you're out as a household. Outdoor public gatherings, the same, limited to 2 people, households excluded. Shopping is for food and essentials only. 1 person per household per day can shop and no browsing. And there's to be no carpooling. Anyone you don't live with can't be in your car. You can still leave your home for medical or compassionate reasons, though only 1 carer to a residence, work or study, which can't be done from home, is still okay. And from this Sunday, funerals will be limited to 10 people. It's going to be tough, and at this point, there's no end date for these tough restrictions. Mark.
Lizzie, thank you.